You're listening to the Book Your Dream Clients podcast, episode 40. Today I'm chatting with Lanie from That Content Life. She is a copywriter who has some really great exercises that all of us can use over and over in our business. She has brought up some great strategies that I've never even heard of, and I'm excited to try them in mine. So make sure you listen because I think that you're really going to love this. It's going to be really helpful if you're struggling with writing copy for your website or content planning. Lanie is your girl, so make sure you pay close attention and stick around to listen how you can snatch up her freebie as well. Make sure you go show her some love on Instagram at That Content Life and tell her how much you love the episode. I know that she will love to hear from you.
You're listening to the Book Your Dream Clients podcast, where we believe business can be simple and you can use your intuition to run towards your goal. Self-made business and success coach Lindsay Maloney helps you start and scale your dream coaching business. With her step-by-step intuitive and creative guidance, you'll leave ready to put her tips into action, push your business forward, and work with your dream clients. Lindsay is here to help you get unstuck and structure your brilliance into a coaching business that's sustainable and financially exhilarating. Here's your host, Lindsay Maloney.
Before we get started with this episode, I want to talk to you about my program, Standout Coaching Academy, or SOCA as everyone calls it. It's a 90-day program that's going to help you book your dream clients. And this is perfect for you if you are a coach who is ready to create, launch, or scale your coaching business. If you want to fill your calendar up with dream clients who inspire you, and you want to make an impact in the world with work that you feel called to do, I want you to enroll in SOCA. SOCA is an extremely powerful program that will take your coaching business to the next level. And I have 3 ways that you can join me right now, be a part of the 90-day program, join other like-minded women, network with them, learn the best ways that you can build your coaching business just the way that I've created and scaled mine, so you can stop having those sleepless nights with all the information overload and stop doing everything by yourself. So many coaches are struggling to get their businesses started, and I want that to stop right now. So I'm inviting you to go to standoutcoachingacademy.com, check it out, and enroll. Lanie, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. I've been looking forward to chatting with you. I love talking to copywriters. And I know my audience loves listening to, I've had a copywriter on here before, and they love listening to the episode because it's so helpful. So I'm really excited to hear from you. And I know that my audience is, I've even told them that I have another copywriter coming on. So they were pretty excited to listen. So why don't we just go ahead and have you introduce yourself, and then we'll take it from there.
But yeah, my name's Laneic Lavalle. I'm a copywriter and content strategist. So my whole jam is to make magic with words, make sure that what you're putting on your sales page, your web page copy, and your content is really reflecting what, like, your passion, and really reflecting what you actually want to say to your audience and what they'll get from it. So that's kind of what I do. And yeah.
So how did you get started were you always a copywriter, or how did you start your business?
Yeah, so it's actually like I'm a natural writer. So around like college and stuff, I started out just like kind of writing papers, and then I kind of learned more about freelance writing and got into writing like blogs and stuff. And then that's where I realized that there's like this thing called copywriting. And I remember reading through it like what? Like, people are paying other people for this kind of thing. And then I guess it didn't click for me that this is actually sometimes, like, it's a struggle to write about yourself, and it's a struggle, to really get your message across sometimes. So I kind of dipped my feet in there, and then I really got into it when I started writing for one of my own businesses that I co-own with my mom like 3-4 years back. And that's really where I learned like the power of making like the right words at the right time to the right audience. So that's how I got into copywriting, like, officially. And from there, I just started, as my skills grew, I started helping other people, and it's just gotten to where it's at now.
I love that. That is such a struggle, especially for entrepreneurs who are just starting, if they've never written about themselves, and they kind of know in the backs of their minds who they want to work with, but they're not sure how to convey the message so it gets across when people land on their website. So when people come to you to help, they need help, what is a common struggle that you see?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is that we get like on a phone call and stuff, and they're just so passionate about the ideas, and they're like, they're throwing it out at me in like bullet points and conversational tone, and they're like, now I need to put this together so it makes sense. And people are really understanding like the value of it, because it always sounds great in your head, and then you write it down and you're like, that makes no sense at all. And then when you add in like the science and stuff of it, like little tweaks and like an adjective can make all the difference between somebody like bouncing off the page. So I really just help them get it out of their heads and put it onto, I was going to say paper, but put it onto the computer screen the way that they like, and keeping the integrity of what they envisioned in their thoughts, but also making sure it's, it translates well.
Right. Yeah, there is a science to it. So can you kind of tap into that a little bit? I'm not sure if people realize that there's a reason for, adding, like you said, adding adjectives to your copy or things like that. Can you just give us a couple tips when you're writing your own copy, things to keep in mind?
So the biggest struggle, I think, especially when, I don't like to use the term saturated, because I feel like everybody does their own thing in a unique way, but in a kind of space where you can feel like it's saturated, like there's a lot of people doing the same thing, a lot of copy can come out like infomercial, and people automatically put their guard up when they're being sold to like directly. So the biggest thing that I like to do with my clients is like, how can we humanize your copy, and how can we humanize what you're doing in your content, and just taking a look at it and seeing, well, let's focus on the emotion of it instead of selling it. So how do you want your clients to feel after, if you're selling a service, when they're done with your service, how will they feel now that they have like, if you're doing life coaching, now that you've helped them clarify what their goals are, how do they feel? And then we'll focus on that first. And then we'll say, now that you feel more confident and you feel more clarity around your service, now you can go sell it, better, and different things like that. So I really like to help them lead from the feeling first, so that they can fully understand the value of what they're trying to sell.
I like your strategy, because that's very important when you're building anything, whether it's a course or, just copy for your website, is lead with the transformation and then work backwards. That's very important. I think people start at you shouldn't start at the beginning. You should start at the end.
Build it backwards. It backwards.
Yeah. So if somebody, do you go on websites and you see like common things and you just kind of cringe, like, oh, I wish people would just do this and it would come off so much better? Are there some things that you see a lot online that you wish you could just wave your magic wand and help people with?
Yeah, actually, I think, so everything I just said about feeling, but a lot of what I see a lot of the time is people go, how would you feel if, which is good, because they're getting the idea of it, right? But then like when you do that bullet point after bullet point, it can start feeling repetitious and a little infomercial-y. So like really what I wish I could do is be like, just tell them directly what they would feel, instead of saying, how would you feel? Like, what would it mean if you could spend more time with your family? Or imagine yourself booking out your calls month after month. Switching up the or the phrase, how would you feel, into actually painting a picture of it. Like you're writing a book, like you're sitting in a cafe with your friend and you're really talking her through like something that's important to her. You wouldn't sit there and like bullet point her. You would tell her a story. You would imagine with her. You would have a conversation with her. So, you're getting the feeling part right, but make sure you still humanize it by using regular conversational tones. Like if it sounds like robotic or if it sounds like, if it sounds super professional, it's probably coming off, like salesy on your page.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Right. And you have to recognize the space that you're in. So it depends on, who you're marketing to.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, so a lot of people, that's very intimidating for them to write copy because they feel like they're sounding too salesy because
Hmm.
they see a lot of that out there. And I like how you say you should humanize it and add the feeling in there, because that's what makes people sit up straight in their seat and like, okay, this person can help me. I know this person can help me achieve this goal because they've been through it themselves, or like they're telling a story, like you said. And that's what helps people feel really connected with you so they can know, like, and trust you.
Yeah, definitely. And then, like I really like them to visualize themselves in a cafe, like with your best friend. Like she has tears in her eyes. She's really trying to figure out, this problem and stuff. What would you say to her if you had the solution for her? How would you conversate with her and put that in your copy? Because that's usually how that emotion comes through more naturally.
So if people want to take that idea, like that's a really good idea, how could you could they just like write out a letter in a Word doc, or how could they take this if they're writing a sales page right now or they're trying to work on their website? What's an exercise that they could do to kind of help them tap into that conversation?
Yeah, so I actually have a little thing on my Instagram highlights, I think. That specific writing exercise written out on there. But basically what it is it's three questions. Like, so the first thing I would say is like really get into it. Like I like to put on like cafe music. I'm sitting down, like this is serious. I'm in
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're
this.
setting up the whole atmosphere.
Yeah. And then so then when you're going through it, imagine how you would introduce yourself to that person, right? Or like if they're like, what are you doing now? What would you tell her? And then after you tell her, she's like, oh my gosh, I have this problem. So after she tells you what that problem is, how would you help her work through how that's making her feel? So then you sit down with her, you tell her, yeah, I'm doing great as a health coach. It's so much fun. That's your introductory page. That's how you're introducing people
Mm-hmm.
to yourself on your copy page, because the first thing you want to do is let them know who you are and how you can help. So
Mm-hmm.
then afterwards, you're imagining that they're sitting down and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm struggling so much with eating healthy. I feel awful. I feel always tired. Those right there are your pain points that you can put in your copy. And then now that you've talked to your friend about your pain points, like naturally in the conversation, you would start talking about how you can help her since you're a health coach, right? So you would imagine, like, what would you tell your friend now that she's like poured her heart out to you? What would you tell her that you can help her with, and how would you tell her is more importantly? Because you wouldn't sit down with your friend, right, and be like, well, for the price of 390, I can help you for 6 weeks. No, you would tell her like, I love you so much. You're doing so great. How about I sit down with you for 6 weeks and we can knock out this awesome like plan, right? Like there's a difference in tone between when you're with your friend and when you're like writing out like the 9 p.m. kind of thing.
That's a really great exercise. I've never heard anybody talk about that before. So that's a really, if you have to rewind it, go rewind it a little bit. Or you can go to Lanice's Instagram profile. And it's,
Yeah,
you
it's
said it's on your highlights, right?
Mm-hmm.
So her Instagram username is That Content Life. And under her highlights, you can go through that exercise. And I definitely encourage people to do that, because I always recommend tapping into your ideal client like at least once a quarter, because as you grow, your clients are probably going to grow as well. Like you go through those growing pains and things change. Your messaging changes because you're learning more. And by having that conversation every quarter, you're going to find that your copy is going to change a little bit because you're probably speaking a little bit differently to people. So this is something that you could just even schedule a reminder, like do your copywriting exercise, at the beginning of every quarter or something. I'm all about doing things every quarter. I think that would be a really great thing to do.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea too, especially as your audience grows, like you said, and then as, your branding and stuff grows as well. It
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely. And you're going to be able to tune in more to their struggles as you work with more people. So you're going to be able to hone in more on what they need help with, and their transformations might be a little bit more deeper than what you thought they were a year ago. So copywriting isn't just something that you do once and you're done. Like, you should always revisit it and see if it reflects your messaging today and the clients that you want to work with. That's definitely important. So do you even review your copy on your site every so often to make sure that it's aligned with what you want?
Yeah. So if anybody has like ever saw my website from the first to like now, like I'm constantly tweaking my copy, especially like as I do like more market research or if my focus changes or something like that. It definitely changes. And it's not always like the whole, homepage is like completely redone. It might just be like, you know what, that phrase isn't really serving me anymore or my
Mm-hmm.
audience. So, I either take it out or I change it or something like that. But I definitely review my copy as I get to know myself more, as I get to know my audience more. And I definitely think, especially your About Me page, people forget the About Me page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they'll go and they'll tweak their services or they'll tweak their homepage and stuff, and their About Me page is still, you know, two
Yep, it's
years
like
old.
old information.
Yeah.
You
Like I
go there and
have
you're
a
like, who is
newborn.
this girl?
Yeah. That's a completely different person.
Which is good, but I
Yeah.
definitely recommend doing that. That could be an exercise for you all to do this week, is go over to your website as a brand new person and kind of go through and think, okay, is this exactly what I want to go out, or can I kind of tweak things a little bit? Like you said, you don't have to do you don't have to wipe the slate clean. Just look at and maybe just change a word, and it can reflect more of what you want people to read and what they want to hear from you.
And then making sure that your copy's like directing them where you want them to go to. Like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people are like focused on, they want to focus on like a group coaching or something like that, but their copy might still be putting the focus on like their one-on-one coaching or something. So that's always a
Right.
detail to look for too.
Definitely. And the flow of your website, the copy directs the flow. So, like I said, I think going through as a person who has never been on your website before, and just looking at how things flow, they may make sense to you because you're the one who's been on there more than anybody. But if you can like wipe all that away and go in there and be like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Why did I even say that? Because that makes no sense with what's coming. And maybe you just need to kind of take a step back and rewrite some things. I want to know about websites. What are like your pillar pages, what you should have on your website that can reflect your copy is super important with? I know it's important everywhere, but are there some kind of pillar pages that you should have that can speak your message clearly?
Yeah. So, a lot of people are hearing about how important an About Me page is, but I don't think it's quite coming across how it's not just the space for you to introduce. Well, it is a space for you to introduce yourself, but it's
Mm-hmm.
another piece of real estate for you to connect with your audience and show them how you can help them. So the focus of your About Me page isn't really about you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you should be finding it's a way for them to connect with you as a human person, but also see how that person helps them furthermore. So like on my About Me page, I tell my story about how I became a freelance writer and that journey and how that helps develop the skill to help them. So,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people are like, they're like, yeah, I have an About Me page. It's fine. Um, Make sure it's not focused on you. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
I know. It's
Yeah.
like the copy for the About Me. It should be changed. It shouldn't even be called an About Me page.
Right.
Maybe that's where we're tripping it up, because we always say that your About Me page is not about you. Well, then why do we call it an About Me page? That's what
I
I
know,
want
right?
to
Gee, you mean I can't put my whole biography on there? That's not on that one.
know.
So yeah, I would definitely say the About Me page. Of course, your homepage. You want to make sure that that's really optimized for your audience, and it really directs the conversation of where you want them to go. Services, and a big thing that's getting really popular is a start here page.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's always, I always tell my clients that's up to you if you want to do a start. It's not like it's going to ruin your business if you don't have one,
Mm-hmm.
but it's always a good idea to see if, especially if you offer a lot of services or if you offer it to a different tier of people, like,
Mm-hmm.
if you offer like high-end coaching, but you also offer some beginning kind of introductory services.
Mm-hmm.
It's always good to have like a start here page so that way people aren't getting lost on like what's available to them or what is speaking to them. Like you have a very clear, like if you're brand new, here's your start here page, and on your start here page you list out, if you're this person, this is what you can do. If you're this person, this is what I can do, kind of thing. So
I love
it's
that
an option.
idea. I love that idea. I think that's a great way to get, especially first-time visitors. Sometimes you
Mhm.
land on a website and you're like, where do I start? And that is specifically saying start here. I love that idea.
Yeah. So, and then, especially with like some of the higher end things, like it can be like, I don't want to jump to the services page, like
Right.
if like I'm still a bit intimidated by like high investments and stuff, this
Mm-hmm.
can be your way to like kind of, warm them up, send them through your funnel. Like, hey, you don't need to jump into a 5,000 sales call right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let me warm you up a little bit. So,
Right. You could
yeah.
use, a really good freebie that you already have. You don't need to like recreate the wheel. You could create
Hmm.
a start here page. Yeah, and download a freebie and then just like you said, put them through a funnel and see how it goes. Like, why not? You can test it out. I love that idea.
Yeah.
And again, like being really specific with messaging, like we don't have to get so creative where I don't even know what you're talking about. Basic
Right?
things like start here. That's like when I go through people's websites with clients or students, I think, how can we I always try to tell them, let's use the transformation instead of what you have here. And they're like, oh, I see. Like they're trying, you don't have to try so hard. That's the thing.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be like overly complicated, or especially on the actual copy itself on the page. You can quite literally tell them like, if you are this person, click on these three links.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think people, which is good. They're really thinking about like the copy on their webpage and stuff. But then sometimes you can get so far into your head, you overcomplicate it and make it harder for your audience.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, you want people to know exactly what you do when they go to your website. So when you go to that content life, right up at the top, it says content strategist and copywriter for ambitious female entrepreneurs. I know exactly who you are here to serve. You are
yeah.
very clear. You're not like, well, I don't know who my audience is, so I'm just going to be all wishy-washy and try to help everybody. Like you're
Yeah.
very specific with who you help, and that's so important.
Yeah. So, and I had my days too where I was like, I'm gonna be super creative, and I got like a little crazy and I learned. So, like if somebody's like, but I'm super, like I like this little tagline that I have or something. Like it's not like a personal tag, like creativity and stuff has
Hmm.
its places, but when it comes to copywriting, you want to value clarity first.
Ooh, I like that. That is super important, valuing clarity, because that's what people struggle with is they are so stuck and they want clarity. And
Hmm.
if you just wipe away all the extra add-ons that you keep piling on everything, then you can kind of see the light a little bit. Like we said, it doesn't have to be so hard. And I think it kind of all falls back if you're looking really deep into it. I always like to look really deep into things. It all comes from confidence. Having confidence in your messaging and in yourself is what's holding you back from really writing good copy. Definitely.
Yeah, I love that. That's so true. Like if you're trying to like pile on like all these extra, like fancy phrases and decorate it with like word glitter and stuff. Like, are you
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, it might be because you're hiding your services and what you can do because you need more stable ground. I love that.
Yeah, you're just not confident in your services enough. So you're just, like you said, piling on things like you're putting on way too much makeup and you're wearing way too many accessories and you're hiding your true self because you're afraid that you're not good enough. So you're
Hmm.
just kind of staying stuck. And and muddy, and it's hard to get results in your business when you do that. And when you wipe everything off and kind of start fresh with fresh eyes, then results start to happen, because if you're not clear on your messaging, no one is going to be clear on your messaging when they land on your site.
Yes. Yeah, that's very true. I love it.
So you have a freebie that you would like to promote to our audience. It's to help them. It's your Grab Your Free Content Planner. We'll put the link in the show notes for them to grab that. So what kind of transformation are people getting from this content planner? Why did you create this?
Yeah, so off of the copywriting, more onto like the content strategist portion, the big thing that I had is like a lot of people are pumping out a ton of content and it's not moving their business forward. And it's because a lot of it is sometimes just fluff pieces, right? Like you see like the big red space on your content calendar and you're like, oh, I better put something there. Like, I don't know what. So my big thing is like whenever you create content, you want to create it with purpose. And you want to create it with some intention so that it moves your business forward and it helps your audience. Like, we don't want to keep adding to the noise. We want to add value. And because we're business owners, we want to make profit, or we want to make some change or something like that.
Growth, yeah.
Yeah. So the content planner is really to help you get those really good ideas into one central space and make sure that you have an intention and a purpose behind it. So on the content planner, it keeps you focused. Like a lot of people look at it and be like, there is no space at all. It's made like that on purpose so that you can focus on your core topics, right? Yeah. So if you're like a blogger or like you help people with manifestation, you don't need to be putting in topics about gardening, like that's a different place. So it forces you to focus on your 4 main buckets or your 4 main topics. And then it goes furthermore into like what you want them to learn or what you want them to gain from that content that you plan, and what your call to action is for it. So even it doesn't necessarily have to be like a call to action, like come buy this. It could be something as simple as like, here's download this freebie or follow me on Instagram or something like that. But you want some kind of action to come from it. So what's your call to action for those 4 topics?
Even a call to action of answering a question or whatever, just engagement is sometimes better than getting a subscriber, because having a conversation with people who follow you builds such a strong connection. So I love strategy behind behind your Instagram posts or whatever, wherever your audience is. Having a strategy behind you to hold you up is super important. So definitely go grab Lanice's content planner. We'll put the link in the show notes, and I think that this would be really helpful for people. I can see some of the pages on here, and I can tell that it's very like simply laid out and kind of helps you get, okay, now I know what I'm going to post this week, because so many people go in, it's Monday, I have nothing to say, and then they just throw something out there that has no purpose, and then that does them no service.
Yeah. And then the other thing too is like, even if you don't necessarily use this as like a content calendar, I almost lost the word. It's just a great space for a content bank as well. So like if you do have like a bunch of ideas floating in your head, write it down there and then look at your content calendar and see if it fits in or see if it moves anything forward. If not, you still have it there. It's still available to you. It just, it's just not time for it to shine yet. So
yeah, exactly. I always teach my students, if it doesn't align with your vision, then just table it, and maybe you can use it some other time, but only pump things out that are aligned to your vision, your program, or your one-on-one client. And that's how you build your list with people who will want to work with you. Because we can create anything. I could create like, here's my 5 recipes I use every day for whatever. Like, I don't really cook, but yeah. And then I could really build my list with that. But that has nothing to do with my ideal client or student. So it's not aligned whatsoever. So we have to be creating content and speaking to our ideal audience so our list can build, so we can get clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't cook either, but if you do ever in the
I
future
eat
make
though,
that,
but I don't.
yeah, send that my way because I like to think I cook.
I can like heat some stuff up, but I if I could just live off of smoothies, I would, because that's just really my only thing that I really like to make and eat. So maybe I'll make a smoothie thing.
Yes.
Oh, Lanice, it was so good to chat with you. I think that our audience will really like this free download that you have. Is there anything else you'd like to share with them?
Um, just check me out on Instagram, if you ever need any help or have questions, I'm an open book. I like to say that I speak meme and GIF, so if you're a latex person,
Oh, yeah, that's my favorite.
But yeah, I'm always looking forward to connections and getting to know my audience and helping people out. So like if you're ever like feeling shy, don't be around me. Reach out, say hi. I hang out on Instagram a lot, so
Yeah, so we could DM you and ask you questions about anything that we're stuck with a little bit. If you guys are going through the exercise that Lanice suggested that's in her highlights, I'm sure she would be more than happy to help you with it.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Lanice.
Thank you for inviting me.
You are welcome. Want 10 ways for you to start booking your dream clients? I created this workbook for you because I wanted to share my best tips on how I book mine. You're not going to believe how easy these are, and I know you'll be able to take my tips and put them into action ASAP so you can start working with your dream clients. To grab the workbook for free, all you have to do is go to lindsaymaloney.com/podcast. Hey coaches, are you a member of the Book Your Dream Clients community yet? Because you should be. Just go to dreamclientcommunity.com to request free access. We do fun things like website audits, challenges, and we even have a book club. Join the free Dream Client community now, and we'll see you there. Thank you so much for listening to the Book Your Dream Clients podcast. If you want to find out more information how you can work with me, just head on over to my website, lindsaymaloney.com. You will be able to see how you can work with me privately or in a group setting. I'm all about helping you start and scale your coaching business, so I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on iTunes and leave a rating and review. And if you want bonus points, take a screenshot of a review and tag me on your Instagram story. I'd love to see it and share it with my audience. And plus, you don't want to miss another episode.